right. And I'm back one more time. Yeah, welcome to another episode of Peace Podcast, guys. The perfect podcast to listen to on your lunch break. Got 15, 20 minutes on your commute? Play this shit. Now, transitioning in almost being an exclusive clip show, y'all doing a little bit of experimentation right now. So this episode, I'll actually drop on streaming platforms as to where a couple shows haven't been there. This has just been the clips because the clips have been kind of getting me some positive momentum. And I think, like I said in one of my prior episodes, when you start to see the positive results come from certain things, you just kind of got to lean into it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm doing. I'm kind of trying to lean into what's working versus trying to force my hand at something that's not working. So y'all know how the format of this show goes. I got something that I ran about. Then I also have a little bit of a cautionary tale to get into just to kind of like prevent people from making mistakes that I've made and mistakes I've seen other people make. We kind of learn through those processes. You ain't got to go through this shit if I went through it, by all means. Let me just be the victim of this shit. You get to bypass this part onto your pathway to a successful life, a happy life, or whatever it is that you're looking to get out of this show. So this episode, again, I typically like to start it off by saying where I find the inspiration for the episode, where I find the inspiration for this content and the things that I want to talk about. Usually it's supplied by the internet because the internet is an infinite giver. There's always something going on, especially in our culture and our community. But this time, it doesn't come from the culture. It doesn't come from the community. Well, strike that. Comes from the culture, but it didn't come from the internet. So I've been spending some time seeing, a lot of TikToks, a lot of Instagrams, Reels, and just a lot of just happy videos as of late, seeing a lot of parents, specifically millennials, those weird parents like around my age that have, 18-year-olds, in your late 30s, super early 40s. I'm 36 and I got, a kiddo that's going to college next year. But I'm seeing a lot of people who are in my age group sending their kids off to school. And I'm seeing the kids kind of, looking at the collegiate choices that a lot of them make, because weirdly enough, a lot of people that I know that are like younger parents, they're college graduates too, which is weird. I don't know what was going on with my community at the time, but a lot of people that I know that had kids like super early, like 18, 19, they still went on to graduate college because, I come from a tough small town known for being one of the poorest parishes. Yes, born in New Orleans, but I grew up in one of the poorest parishes, counties everywhere else in the country. But we still, the people that look like us, with the drive and determination, we had a lot of us still graduated college. But anyway, I saw people sending their kids off to school, and it was a little bit of a mixed bag because where I'm from, a majority of us go to HBCUs. It's not like we didn't have a choice in the decision-making process. It was just like, man, we knew we were going to Southern. We knew we were going to Grambling. Like, it was one of the two schools. Some people randomly would go to like the Nichols or the Northwestern State. They're like small little colleges and stuff like that. But that was a rarity. Most of us went to HBCUs. And I'm seeing a majority of the kids that are coming up today that look like us, specifically from my community, they're not going initially, but I'm seeing a lot of stories of kids transferring. And it kind of got me to go down this rabbit hole when it comes to Black consciousness for millennials, passing that shit down to our generation. And this is where the origin of this conversation goes, because I've been kind of working on this topic mentally for a while, and I'm trying to bridge two concepts here. Because one is like, these kids go off to school, they go off to these PWIs, and we're seeing a higher transfer rate to HBCUs, which is, a positive thing. We want to be educated by people that look like us so they can flourish in communities of people who look like them, who will go off to do great things. It's probably the one time in your life, if you're Black and you're going away from your parents' homes, in which you'll be surrounded by people who look just like you, who are off into successful endeavors. Some people might not make, some people will drop out and stuff like that. But for the most part, the overwhelming majority of people around you are going to do something successful. So I got to bridge these two stories, right? So that was one thing that I saw that kind of made me think about Black consciousness going into the, the next sectors of life and things of that nature for the next generation. Another thing happened in like 2022. I remember it was 2022 because we were wearing masks, but people were still going outside and kind of like, experiencing life. The world was starting to open up bit by bit. And I took a trip to San Francisco. Wasn't for work, just personal. Always wanted to go to the Bay just to kind of, try the food, see the museums and stuff like that. I'm a when I go on like vacations and stuff like that, it could be international, it could be like in the States, it doesn't matter. I'm going to take a bus tour of some type to see all of your historic landmarks in a day. I'm going to try to see museums and all that cool stuff. And one thing about San Francisco that I saw that it was inspiring, but it also caused a little bit of disappointment for me was I went to Chinatown and I took a tour around Chinatown. It was partly walking and mostly it was like on a van or whatever. So on the tour, I remember specifically hearing the tour guide say, hey guys, this is one of the oldest Chinese communities in the entire country. Here, their dollar circulates 10,000 times before it has to leave the community. And that kind of paused me because I've always heard in the black community, our dollar circulates one time. One time. So I thought maybe the average might have been 100 times, maybe 50 times. But to hear that a community has been able to self-sustain itself, maintain its culture, like when you go into Chinatown, it looks very different than the rest of San Francisco. And they've been able to maintain their culture and most importantly, circulate a dollar 10,000 times before it has to leave its neighborhood. And I'm like, man, that's really great. Now I know the historical context behind it being black, you know, anytime historically we built up our neighborhoods and our communities, they've been destroyed by, you know, opposing viewpoints, you know what I'm saying? And we haven't really truly had the opportunities to build things for ourselves. If you go from like, you know, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Rosewood, the destruction of those, you know, communities, those towns and things of that nature, to like even banks with redlining and discriminatory lending practices, even recently, like within the 2020s, we still hear about home appraisal discrimination. We still hear about lending discrimination when it comes to like us within our own community and not necessarily having the ability to build it up as much as other people can. So kind of bridging these two conversations together and getting to the general theme of the rant of the day, right? So this is what I was able to gather from it. So black millennials, we didn't kill black consciousness. We accidentally starved it. So we left the institutions that taught it. We got swallowed up by survival culture and we let algorithms raise our kids. So consciousness didn't die. It just didn't get passed down with the same intensity. So what I mean by that is when it comes to building up our community, building up our culture, building up our own institutions, as we got older and as generations passed, we didn't put as much value into it, right? I come from a very weird family background. Like my parents are in their 70s because I was adopted. So my parents are in their late 70s. And I know who my biological family is and stuff like that too. We're all within the same family. Like, you know, all came out the same freaking house. So seeing the level of like just consciousness and pride pushed to our community, you can see it from a change from generation to generation to generation. With me, it's weird because I grew up in a household with like a dad from a major city. He grew up in Memphis, so he got to experience racism firsthand. He got to see civil rights stuff firsthand. He was born in 1949. You know what I'm saying? So being raised around him in particular molded my consciousness of black people. It made me have a love and appreciation and affinity for black people very early in life. I remember him and my mom got into it when I was a kid because I was like in the 5th grade or the 6th grade. I can't remember when, but I had to do a book report. And the teacher said, you can choose any book you want. My dad is an extensive reader and a lover of history. He was like, son, I'll give you a book. Do a book report on this. Wasn't a very thick book at all. It was Die Nigga Die by H. Rap Brown. My mama was fucking pissed. But my dad said, nah, he's into everything that I'm into. And I mean, he's already started reading the book. Go ahead and let him do the book report on it. What is the school going to actually say? We're not going to get into what the schools say. Just safe to say I got suspended for a couple of days for writing my book report on that. I went to a small race. Went to school in a small racist town. But those were the values that were instilled in me from childhood until now. And I think about my biological mom and I think about, you know, her husband and like how they view things from a black consciousness standpoint. They have some elements of like what my mom and dad teach, but then there's other elements too that aren't necessarily as black focused. Like my mom and dad wanted to live in a black neighborhood. They wanted to live around people who looked like us because they knew there was power within community. Now, I'm a person who's bought a couple houses in my life and I've lived in various communities. And I can say even as I've gotten older, now I consciously think about it. But previously, it wasn't like a foregone conclusion that I wanted to live in a black community. That wasn't like the first thing that popped out when I was looking at houses. It was, what's the school district like? What is the crime statistics of the neighborhood? It wasn't a question that and my realtor was black. I make sure that I try to employ black people around me in all the opportunities that I can. But that was never something that I remember asking, saying, hey, can you show me neighbors' houses in predominantly black neighborhoods where it's mostly middle class or upper middle class? Where are the black graduates going? Where are the black professionals moving to? And oddly enough, there's a community for that in most towns and most places. If you live in like a major to mid-major city, there is a place where people look like you frequent, where they, have homes that were passed down to them, or where, they've collectively asked their realtors, hey, where do people look like me that are moving up in their socioeconomic status? Where are they moving? But it wasn't a foregone conclusion for me. It wasn't like that needs to be top of mind. Now think about it from our institutions, right? The things that also instill black pride, black culture, and black values to us, right? Take the church. We gotta go there, right? I think about stories my dad told, and my mom also told me too, because she was more of a religion person than my dad was. Well, these niggas are still alive. But I remember the church was a place of cultural relevance. It wasn't just about learning about God and, helping getting through things. It was a place where you met, your significant other. It was a place where you went and donated your time to help the community, which is something that's still big to her, not just through the church, but it's also something that she's pushed throughout her entire life as well. So when I think about people my age and our thoughts on religion, thoughts on church, we think about it as a restrictive place. We think about the negative experiences that we got to go through because that older generation wasn't so a part of it. That black pride, that this is our community, this is our space to not only learn about God and, church stuff, but also a gathering place for us to talk about resources, to talk about political equity, because mind you, it's probably still happening, but because we're not participating, this generation does not go to church. We don't. It's true. I don't go. If you look at statistics, just in general, when it comes to America, people's attendance to churches drastically dropped down. People ain't going farther from God. No, people like to, demonize that, but it is what it is. But we stopped making those places what we needed them to be because we experienced something that wasn't positive there versus us going into those spaces and turning it into the spaces that we wanted them to be. So what do y'all think? I'll just toss that out there. I'll clip this up to make sure this is a part of the show, the interactive part. What do y'all think about the change in black consciousness? Is it our fault as millennials? Is it the generation before us because they've gotten further away from what brought us close to each other as a community? Is it the laws and the restrictions and the different things that were designed to destroy the black community while uplifting other communities? What is it that you guys think that has caused us as a community to not connect as much? And again, it's affecting us in all areas. We're seeing less and less black neighborhoods when it comes to like us actively choosing to go to these communities, right? We are starting to see an uptick in HBCU participation, like enrollment and whatnot. So that's great. But even when it comes to our institutions and relationships and marriage, we're starting to see black divorce rates increase. And we were already the highest divorced group of all racial groups, right? We're the least likely to get married and the most likely to divorce. So what do you guys think are contributing to some of those deteriorating spaces within our inner community workings? Y'all let me know. Let me know. Now, time for the cautionary tale. This cautionary tale is not going to be as obvious as many other things are, y'all, because when it comes to cautionary tales, you can kind of see there's some foreboding danger, some type of like, hey, if you don't pay attention to this, this can absolutely happen to you. And one of the things that I think is something that we don't necessarily focus on is celebrating our wins. So I'm going to say this off top. Don't come around me if you aren't trying to be celebrated. I've had to learn the hard way that you're supposed to celebrate your wins, your successes, and the people around you, but not just to be on some braggadocious shit. You are doing these things because it is healthy for you mentally, and you also don't know who's paying attention to you as a form of inspiration. So I'll give the background to this, right? I was having a conversation with somebody over the weekend that I haven't spoken to in years. When I say in years, I'm talking about since like maybe graduated high school, early college. We were the same age, but we went to different schools, but we were kind of cool because we knew each other from like outside of school shit. And we were talking through Instagram. And I'll be honest with you, if I know you and you send me a message and we're going back and forth in messages, not negatively, but just like having a conversation, I'm going to hit the phone button and call because I don't like texting. I don't like it. Call me so we can get this conversation through. If it's good, I mean, let's have this engaging conversation. But if you texting me and a lot of shit is getting lost in translation, I'm going to call you because I hate text messages. Just call me. I'm one of the few people who's probably like this. So I hit the call button. I was like, what's good, bro? I know we was catching up via Instagram messaging, but like, let's just chop it up, man. What you been up to? Telling me about his kids, you know what I'm saying, his baby moms and all kind of stuff like that. And I'm giving him, a little spiel about what I got going on and stuff like that, family stuff, professional stuff and all that cool stuff. And he just kind of stopped me when I was talking about like the work conference I had just got back from. It was like, bro, I just wanted to tell you this, a lot of people don't get the chance to get their flowers, but a lot of things that you've done, like you've documented your life on the internet pretty well. And, we cool, but I've always been able to follow you. And it's like, dude, you motivated me in a lot of different aspects of my life. And that took me aback a little bit because I ain't really no motivating ass nigga, man. I hate motivational speeches. I hate when people be like, different animals, beasts, all this other like rah-rah shit. I am not that guy. I will never try to intentionally motivate somebody. I mean, I post cool stuff that I do. And I mean, it's not even like the coolest shit in the world, but to somebody that's seeing this and seeing what you got going on in your life, it might be something that's like just astronomical for them and that's motivating them, right? I say that to say celebrating the wins is important because you're not just doing it for yourself. You got to think. You come from a background, and again, I'm talking to skin folks. We come from a background, especially if you're from where I'm from, in which a lot of people aren't successful. A lot of people don't make it. A lot of people don't make it out of our neighborhood. And for them to see that you've traveled to another country, to see that you've progressed in life, to see that you've gotten married, to see that you've gotten a job, to see that you've hit your sobriety goals, to see that you've done all of these varying things is a cause to celebrate. Because for your mental health, it's good for you to be able to look back and see how far you've come and celebrate it, because celebrating that means you're appreciative of the moment. You're appreciative for the space that you just got to that you didn't think that you could get to. I'm thinking about my own personal journey, right? When I graduated college, I remember speaking to someone from my high school who was also graduating at that time. And they was like, what's wrong with you? I looked like I had an attitude the whole time. I'm just ready to get out of here. I had my cap and gown on, right? I had this diploma that I worked 4+ years hard to get. And I was like, I'm just ready to get out of here. You know what I'm saying? I got something to do after this. And I'm saying this like I'm not at my own personal college graduation. like I'm at somebody else shit that I don't know. Like I'm just kind of ready to leave, guys. And that moment stuck with me because I'm like, why am I making this not like it's not a big deal? Like it ain't like too many people that have done this. This was a hard accomplishment. I worked hard to get here, because if you'd have told 17-year-old me that I graduated from the Southern University at A&M College in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, I'd have been super proud of that. I'd have been hype. And I got there and I wasn't hype. I wasn't celebratory. I was just, oh man, I'm ready to go. I didn't appreciate the moment. So as I got more accomplishments in my life, it created this hole of like, what's next, what's next, what's next, what's next, which doesn't allow you to appreciate the things that you're knocking out in the first fucking place. You need to celebrate the wins as you get them, because it makes you more appreciative of the journey. If you have people around you, celebrate the wins that they have. And also, it is kind of worrisome when people don't celebrate the wins. So if someone can't accept celebration, they may also be struggling with community, vulnerability, and reciprocity. That creates emotional distance, not because they're bad people, but because they may have never been taught to be loved loudly. So that's why you also have to celebrate other people, because maybe someone's grown up in a situation in which they never got recognition for anything that they've done. So they don't know how to truly celebrate the moments of success that they have. And they also have that pitted feeling of, I got to keep accomplishing. I got to keep going. Got to keep going. Y'all, at some point in time, you have to celebrate the moments, because life is an ever extending journey, and you don't want to just keep doing shit for the sake of doing it, trying to get this fulfilling vibe going. That'll never get there, because at the end of the day, like I said, life is a continuous journey. If you don't look back to appreciate your own life and you keep looking for what's next, you're going to die full. You're going to die full because you didn't get a chance to celebrate your loved ones. You didn't get a chance to celebrate yourself and really look back at your life, at all the things that you accomplished, right? So being celebrated is a part of being in my space. So if you can't handle joy, affirmation, and hype, you're not ready to be in my circle. I can't put you there. You know what I'm saying? If you start a business, I'm going to be more hyped for you than you are. I can tell you this now. I had a homeboy who recently made a pivot in one of his businesses, and now he's actually got something that he sells inside of stores and people get to enjoy it. He always talks about it, but he talks about like refining the process and stuff like that and what's next. And I'm sitting there like, nigga, we should celebrate this shit, bro. This is fire. I remember you talking about wanting to, start a business, get the process going, and now you actually have your business. You actually are selling something. You're making money on this. Dude, this is something to celebrate. My brother is the worst person when it comes to this. I love bro ass to death, but he don't celebrate shit. He thinks everything that he does is normal. And I'm here to tell you, nigga, it's not normal, bro. You have a business that you run all on your own that was in the fucking red when you got it. Celebrate that shit. Y'all, if y'all know somebody who is a fucking workaholic, never celebrates themselves, take the time to celebrate them. Shoot them a text. Shoot them a phone call. I fucking hate text messages. And if they don't answer, leave them a goddamn voicemail. Then FaceTime them. If they don't answer that, leave a FaceTime message. But celebrate the wins, y'all. I beg you. I'm 36. I spent 34 years of my life. I don't know what I was doing as a baby. Fuck that, but this is going to add some dramatics to it. I spent 34 years of my life not celebrating the shit that I got accomplished. And now I'm changing that. I got a master's degree recently. Got the cap and gown. Never took the photos. Never did a celebratory dinner. Never did anything. I'm ready to go out of the country next week. And I'm going to celebrate my goddamn degree. And moving forward, everything that I accomplished, I'm going to celebrate, and I'm going to be grateful for that shit. So y'all, that's another episode of Peace Podcast. Again, told you, got you through your lunch break, motherfucker. So enjoy the show, y'all. I appreciate it. Like, subscribe, do whatever you want to do to wherever this show is. Like I said, it's probably going to come out. Might be a clip show, but I appreciate y'all, man. Peace.